yeah, I don't want to get too talked about schematics, but they're going to be versatile. They're going to be here, they're going to be there. You got to be asked to do different things in different situations, and so we know where Fred and Greenlaw going to be. They go be boom right there, but this other guy, you got to be able to have a nice toolbox to be able to stay on the football field, essentially.
And KJ, as he's stepping into the head linebacker's role now, what have the last few years, a couple of years, meant to you in terms of like getting you prepared to take on this role?
So thankful. First of all, I'm just super thankful for Kyle Shanahan for like trusting me to bring me on this football team. Like, Kyle doesn't know me. He just knows me from seeing number 50 make plays on him on Sundays when I was with the Seahawks, but he doesn't know me. And thankfully, like, Sherman gave him a call and said, hey, man, like, I told Sherman, hey, I want to coach, and he said, I'm going to call Kyle, and that's how this whole thing worked out. And so first of all, I thank him for trusting me, and just to put me as a quality control coach. If I ever become a head coach, like, in this first-time coaches, be a quality control coach, right? You learn how to coach, learn how to get organized, you learn how to sit back and listen, do PowerPoint, Visio, like you really learn the basic fundamentals of football, right? I got 11 years of playing, right? Let's learn how to actually coach football, and this is a new profession that you're in. So for him to trust me to now lead this room means the world to me. Johnny Holland has been everything to me. Just for him to groom me, mold me, you don't feel any egos, like been super, super supportive. And every day I go in his office and coach, what can I get better at? What can I learn from? And he's been my rock throughout this whole transition.
Guys who were players who had the level of success you did maybe aren't always sure that they want to get into the grind of coaching. Did you have any moments of doubt along the way?
That was me. I got up in my press conference when I retired and I said, guys, I don't know what I'm doing, but I know I'm not coaching. I swear I said that. But when you retire, them days get long. The 24 hours feel like 48 hours. And I just want to thank my wife too. She know where my heart is. She know what I wanted to do. She said, babe, go. Like, get out the house. Like, get on my nerves. Go work. I said, all right, babe, I'm going to try this thing. And thankfully that she gave me the green light to do it. She said, I'll take care of the kids and we'll be good. And life's been great ever since I made this transition.
So going against the 49ers as a defensive coach, what are the challenges going up against the Kyle Shanahan offense that you've seen through the years?
Yeah, well, I think that was the thing that really, when I'm looking and you see, it didn't matter if it was Debo, it didn't matter if it was any other receivers, those guys are going to be challenging. Now, he's not here, okay, who's the next guy up? Now you got Mike Williams, what is Mike going to do? So you still got all your pieces. Now I got a great running back. How do I use a running back? So he's always challenged you in those ways. And like I said, that was one of the big reasons why I want to come here, is that I know the offense is going to challenge the other team. And then now what can we do to get where they are, and then hopefully get to where we want to go.
And speaking of Mike Evans, how does he stress the defense?
Well, I mean, to me, when you look at Mike, just going against him, if you go one-on-one, he's going to win a lot of 50-50 balls, which is really great. Then when you try to game plan him, them other guys come to life. So you just can't roll to him and don't think that McCaffrey's not going to get balls and get touches and the other receivers not going to do that. So to me, now you got a chess piece. Now I can do a lot of things with Mike to where I can dictate what the other team is going to do. And I'm telling you, the last 3 years, I thought Tampa Bay did a great job that I was going against him, because when you rolled to him, the other guys had bigger roles. When you didn't roll to him, he had his role. So, he's going to get his catches, the other guys going to get theirs, and it makes it way harder for a defense to just say, take away this guy, and then, you're going to win the game. Well, like I was, he's when you're 6'5" and you've been doing it for 10 years, and you've been doing it at a high level for 10 years, that's unique in itself. I know 2 years ago where he hit 10 years, 1,000 yards every year. So you look around like, man, how many receivers done that? So to me, I think he understands that, but he also understands that he's a team guy. And this is my first time being around him, and especially in off-season, because most elite receivers probably don't show up in off-season. They probably just, I'll be ready for the season, and I don't see that in him.
Yeah. Is he coaching up some of the rookies? Have you seen any of that happen, that leadership from him?
Yeah. You could see it. I walk by him in the cafeteria and I see those guys talking and stuff like that. And not that he's holding court, he's just kind of talking about what his role is, because I know he's still trying to fit in this system too. So, but you can kind of see them guys always talking about that.
Yeah.
And being a humble guy that he is, but also being confident, in his abilities to really coach those guys. He's done a wonderful job.
How did this opportunity come about for you? Did you have a relationship with Kyle? Like, how did this all come about?
Yeah, I've been in the league 17 years, so I obviously have a relationship with Kyle just from knowing him, through various people, and just it came about just from phone calls and talking. Hey, this is the position that we have, and this is what we'd like you to do. And, would you be interested in doing it? And took the interview, and it was a good match.
Yeah, what made it a good match?
I've always respected Kyle. Either going against him as a defensive coordinator or just watching his teams play. They always play hard. They're always fundamentally sound. I've heard great things about the 49er organization, in terms of it being really good, top down, and that is true. And I'm excited to be here.
And now that you've been here and off-season program is going and everything, what are your impressions of the building, the team, just the whole experience?
Yeah, the building is outstanding. They really do a great job of hiring here. It's all football. And people always say, what do you mean it's all football? Well, there's nothing but football here. It's just that's all you do. And that enables you to set your meetings up, coach the guys in the technique, and really focus on your job. And that's from the top down. John and Kyle are great together. It's a really good fit. But the guys are on the same page, and you can really feel that. And we're here to serve the players. And that's what we're really here to do. And our product is putting a good product on the field, and that's the players' play on the field. So and that becomes pretty clear early on.
I apologize if you've been asked this, but what is your specific role here? What were they?
I have been asked that, and I accept your apology. It's really to serve. I'm here to serve Raheem first and foremost in any way that's needed, and then to assist the assistants. And that's what I've been doing, and it's been great. We got a really good group.
I'm sure in your past you had to cross paths with Mike Evans from a defensive standpoint, defending him and going in there and game planning for him. How difficult is that task to?
Yeah, very difficult. He makes you tilt the field to him, and he's always seems to be open. He has an uncanny way to use his body, understands leverage of coverage, and he's able to exploit that. And he's very good at it.
Now that he's on your side and he's with a Kyle Shanahan, and I'm sure that prospect having to defend that combination would have been a difficult task too. But when you see it from this perspective, how can Kyle Shanahan and Mike kind of pair up with what they bring to the table?
Yeah, Kyle's extraordinary at getting guys open, in wide space, and I think that that's going to benefit Mike in a lot of ways, but also Mike's also very good at getting open in tight spaces. So I think it's going to be a good marriage.
He can win at a high level. So he can keep sharpening his axis as far as that goes. And we're excited to have him. So having a guy that can win inside should drastically help the entirety of the pass rush.
I know you're not in pads yet, but what have being your early impressions of him? Just kind of being around the guy.
Just a short period of time, one of the hardest working guys I've been around. First one in the building, last one to leave. Shows back up after he leaves. Very, very meticulous about every single thing that he does. We kind of heard from the outside, and none of us have really been around him, but hearsay in the NFL and guys that have worked with him in the past in different places, rave about him, and then you get to see it, day in and day out. Like I said, we're 2 months in right now. It's not like we've played four seasons or anything, but so far so good. Like just his work ethic and how he goes about his business, his leadership, the way he's meticulous about what he puts into his body, just every single thing. Like he's on point. It's been awesome.
Kris, you've got two pretty interesting undrafted D tackles, Thompson and Eason. Are you instrumental in bringing those guys in? And Thompson's got great upper body strength, and you can see it on the field. What do you think of these two guys?
Yeah, we do an extensive review on all of our undrafted free agents, and we thought both of them had a very, very, very good chance of getting drafted. So they were obviously if they did happen to slip through the cracks, they were rated very highly on our undrafted list of players that could possibly be available. Kind of being honest with you, I thought both of them would get drafted at some point in time, on the third day. And so we did a lot of work with them. We did Zoom calls with them. We did, the whole gamut of pre-draft stuff with them. Brought Bryson in for a 30 visit, so we got to visit with him there. Greg Scruggs had coached JT, James Thompson, at Wisconsin, so that was a connection there. So and then once the draft ended, it was pretty quick. They made the decision they wanted to come here, and it was pretty seamless for a recruiting deal, and ended up getting both of them, which never thought would have happened going into the draft, but we happened to get both of them, and we're excited about it. Both have a skill set to play in the NFL. We targeted them, went after them, and it ended up working out.
What about Kyle Kamara? What do you like about him?
Same thing. He's just a guy that was really productive in college, around the football, the energy he played the game with, the technique he played the game with, natural leverage, get off, and then very, very instinctual player, always around the football. So drew us to Kamara, so another one in the mix.
How would you assess the rookies from last year? CJ, Alfred, Michael? I know his season was cut short, but their performance last year and how they're looking going into year two.
Yeah, they gained a lot of valuable experience. Had to play all three of them had to play a lot of football. Michael, I know, got cut short, but then AC and CJ had to play a lot. And, I thought they grinded and got better as the year went on and got valuable reps, and won a lot of games with them in their playing. And it's inside, D-tackle-wise, it's very difficult to go from the way college football is nowadays, transitioning into the NFL and being a highly productive player. Usually it takes a while, and those guys were able to get better as the year went on. And then I thought they were playing their best at the end. And then, into the playoffs, CJ had some really good games. In the Philadelphia game, he made some really big plays, and AC was around the ball all year long. So really excited about the experience they got last year, getting thrown into the mix and having to play a lot. And as the year went on, play more and more, and now going into their second year, just seeing that second year jump and everything not being totally new to them. I'm really excited about it. Both of them. They're made of the right stuff. Both of them are.
Coach, you've probably been asked about height already, but what have you seen out of him through OTAs? Anything impressive? Anything stood out to you so far?
Just his speed, athleticism, his explosion on get off, and then just natural pass rush ability. It's been really, impressive so far. We're not in pads or anything yet, so that'll be the determining factor of the whole thing. But just the way he moves. Then, at the end of the day, we drafted him to rush the passer, and he's really excelled at that. Like his get off has been really, really good. Being able to put tackles behind the 8 ball with his get off and making them set differently and protect differently and getting on them quickly, and then just the work ethic that he brings in. Like he works really, really hard. The energy that he plays with, and so just the whole package. We're excited about him.
And bringing in Odigizua, what have you seen from him? Is he meeting the expectations that you guys expected of him coming in for what you've been able to see so far?
Yeah, so far he's been awesome. So far, his work ethic is like off the charts. Like he comes in and you talk about putting in a full day's work. He's going to do it, whether it's in the film room, whether it's in the weight room, whether it's on the grass out there practicing. He is very, very in tuned into working extremely, extremely hard to get the most out of his skill set. And then just watching him on the field, so far so good. Like it's been awesome. He can move around. He's athletic. He's quick. He can rush the passer. We find a lot more out in training camp than we do now. Pads come on, but really excited about him. Can't wait till camp gets here to see him really put it all together and go against our offense, and then in preseason games, and then as we get going into the season, getting to see him match up in our defense versus other teams and go at it. Really excited about it.
Nick Bosa ACL comeback before, so how do you see him going through this one, and what are your expectations for him, and how does he just uplift the whole unit being present?
Well, they always say with ACLs, it's always, the better once you've been through it. You kind of know what to expect along the road. And, fortunately, there's nothing unfortunate about either one of them. But, if it's going to happen, they both happened earlier in the season where it's giving him time to to not rush it and like be able to take his time and be really meticulous with the process and not skip any junctions along the way. So he's been through it before. You never quite know till you do go through it, but he got through it the first one, and we went down to Detroit, and next thing you know, he's got 15.5 sacks at the end of the year, and he's a Pro Bowler, and it was all good. So Nick's very meticulous about his, everything that he does, and rehabs. What this stuff's going to be at the top of his list.
I mean, obviously the unit missed him on the field last season, but just him not being available, did that kind of deflate a lot of the unit also? I know there were other injuries along the way too.
Well, anytime you got a former defensive player of the year and a guy that's been in the teens in sacks and Pro Bowl basically every single year, every time that guy's not in your lineup, it's not ideal.
Yeah.
What is having a guy like Osa in the inside pass rush that he brings? What can that do for the entire?
When you got a guy inside that can win, and if you get him into one-on-one situations, and a guard or a center has to protect against him one-on-one, you anticipate a guy like Osa winning that matchup. And when he wins those matchups, he's in the quarterback's lap. He's getting the quarterback off the spot. He's got a really long wingspan. He's not the tallest guy in the world, but he's got like an 85-inch wingspan that's around the quarterback, and it just, it sets up things for one, himself, and then two, all the other rushers that that are coming at the quarterback. Like if you got an interior rusher from the inside in the quarterback's lap, and he's got to account for that and get off his spot. And next thing you know, his eyes aren't downfield on receivers. He's looking at the rush. Like that affects a lot.
Won the Super Bowl my second year and made me really stay in it. But it's a process, and D'Amico Ryans, Robert Saleh, they all come from the bottom up. And I think I'm sure that's the best way to do it, because you understand overall of the game, you see the big picture of the game, and you get to learn a lot. And I think KJ did it the right way. He's done an excellent job. He's going to be an excellent linebacker coach, and he has a good group of guys, and he's been doing a great job so far.
He was saying he didn't want to do it unless he knew that you were going to be around and take it. But how do you know when a guy like that is ready to take that step?
Yeah, well, he's been in the room for 2 years, and just sometime as a young coach, you need a mentor that this is kind of how I want to coach, and not saying that he have to do it like I did it. He had to put his own stamp on it, but this is the barometer of how I want to coach. And KJ has done an excellent job, for his putting his stamp on it. And the guys here, we've been having successful linebackers in the last 10 years, 9 years here. And so our deal is let's keep the same format, let's make it better, and I think a young guy like KJ, with his credibility of his background, that he has a chance to take us to another level, and I'm here for him, and I'm just honored to have him in taking my spot there, because I know what he'll bring to the table.
You mentioned figuring out there's that commitment for getting to that point where you're ready. Was there ever any doubt with him, or was he always
No, he was always in. I think when he came through the door, I'm sure KJ didn't need to do this, but he just wanted to do it. He loved the game, and the coach, you have to love the game. It's not like you making a whole lot of money, but you got to love the game and the commitment, because there's a lot of hours, there's a lot of ups and downs, and but I think from day one, I felt a commitment that he was all in.
Coach, how different do your days look now in the new position? But then also, how much has KJ kind of leaned on you to kind of find his way?
Well, he's leaned on me whenever needed, and KJ does a lot of stuff on his own really good. And I usually sit in his meeting rooms, and just one thing that I have to be careful of, I'm not coaching the linebackers, but I'm there for him whenever you need. And just like you said, we've been having a lot of success with our linebackers here over the years, and our format has been working, and our technique drills and style of play is just the way we play. And KJ definitely bought into it, and he can teach it. And he's doing a great job of doing it.
Saleh told me he thought that he would have a similar trajectory to D'Amico. You were obviously here for D'Amico. Do you see some of that as this is a guy who could go as high as he wants in this business?
No, this is he's in a great organization for one, and he's been in several. This is his second system here, And I think the key to it has been a leader of men, just how to lead men and how to make them better. And I think KJ has that potential of like, I can lead men and I can make them better than what they are. And that's the key to any team, coaching a team, that, you know, you got to have guys believe in themselves, and you have to be a great leader, and I think he has that ability.
What has the addition of Raheem Morris done for this defense?
Yeah, outstanding. You know, he's been really big for this defense. I think he brings us a different style of play for us, how we're going to look. He's always energized, and he's a really sharp guy. Like the defense that he implements, he knows it inside out, and our guys are buying in. And this is going to be great for us. And I think Raheem is excellent. I see why he was a head coach, and you know, he has the right energy and is a great leader.
Are there big changes or small adjustments?
No,
for these guys?
not big changes. You know, football is football. There's 11 guys on the field, and everybody run the same coverages. There's kind of different ways of people doing it, and but you know, it's, you know, I would say it's a little bit of what we've been doing, a little mixture, and you know, but the style of play is probably still going to be the same. We got to play hard, and I think the biggest part of what we're doing is we got to get more takeaways and get the ball more, and I think we'll get a chance to get more takeaways.
On that note, Coach, your tenure here has been incredible. How do you see the 2026 version of this defense coming together as you're going through OTAs?
Well, you know, everybody hope we be one of the top defenses, but I think our style of play will never change, and we're going to play hard. But I think the biggest thing for defense that you have to get the ball and you have to put stress on offensive, and I think we'll be able to do that, you know, with guys healthy and with a new scheme of doing things that hopefully we'll be able to put more pressure on offense and get more takeaways. The less we on the field, the better we are on defense.
First impression of Myles Garrett getting traded to the Rams?
You know, I said to Kyle, kind of a little gut punch at first. You feel like, oh gosh, here we go. But then, you know, I woke up really early this morning, earlier than usual, and I came in and just watched tape. I said, I mean, he's an outstanding football player, and he's going to be a challenge for us to take care of. But it is, you know, we had a plan last year. You're going to do the best you can, and everybody has good players, and he's a great player, and it's good for them, helps them, and it'll be a good challenge for us.
So you came in today and watched Myles Garrett tape first thing in the morning? Is that right?
I sure did. I just want to remind you, because it feels, you know, it's kind of came out of left field, right? Would you say that was a left field one?
Yeah.
So it came out of left field, just sitting there saying, well, oh wow, so what about this? So then you remember him, but you know, we have him in the division, you play him all the time, you're like, gosh, yeah, he made a couple plays, and then you're like, let me go back and look at the tape and see what it really was. And he's a great player. I'm not taking what he got after us, but it wasn't, you know, we did have a plan. The plan was somewhat effective, and so we can, you know, there's other ways to do things as well. So, you know, we'll see how it goes.
How formidable are the Rams front and the Seahawks front, just in terms of all the defense you've had to go against? These two defensive fronts are pretty.
Yeah, they're all, but everybody. That's where I've kind of come to. Like, we can look at the schedule. I think last year we had the easiest schedule until you got to week 10, then you did it, and we had like the 5th hardest schedule in football. You know, so you can play this thing, and then you play out the year, you play this out, and yes, you do the yes, talent-wise, they're a talented group. But I think, you know, our division, what is it, 5 out of the last 9 years, we've been representing the Super Bowl from the NFC West, and defense has been a big part of it. So they all have good defense, but everybody does. I mean, to make a trip to Lambeau, go here, go, you're like, gee, they all have good players. And short of a team getting banged up and hurt, there's always going to be a challenge, whether it be interior-wise or exterior on pass rush. So it's always going to be somebody.
Does this change the strategy going into week 1 down in Australia?
Yeah, it's not really. I mean, strategy-wise, we haven't started game planning yet, but obviously it does. It's a factor. But I'll say this. Now, I think, you know, this is going to come out. It's not going to come out. It is what it is. Myles Garrett's a player, and Jared Verse. We had to take care of Jared Verse. We had to take care of Myles Garrett. Either it's an edge player, and you kind of have to do it. There's only one or two ways to. There's a lot of ways to take care of an edge player, but just say there's one or two ways to take care of an edge player. Well, if you decide that's who you're going to take care of, different than when it was Aaron Donald. Take care of an interior player with a different way to do it. So I'm not saying they're the same guy. I think Myles Garrett's he's a all-time great pass rusher. He's an unbelievable talent, but it's still an edge rusher that you have to account for.
How much does the addition of the passing game affect how Brock Purdy can get rid of the ball faster and then alleviate maybe the pressure?
Gosh, you just know offensive line too well. The faster you throw it, the less we have to block. I mean, yeah, it's the truth. But no, obviously the pass. Our last year, our dropback pass game was more than the side. I mean, I don't know that. Obviously, being good at getting the ball out quick or being able to get open quick, whatever those things are, does help.
Obviously, it's way too early for any declarations on the left guard job, but just kind of like, how do you kind of view the position and the options that you have there here in June?
There's a lot of guys. So it's wide open right now. It's going to be hard to get them all. It's not going to be hard to do it. It's just they're going to all get their chances somewhere, and we're going to have to go with the best player. I don't know that one person's going to clear cut win the job. I mean, you look at it and Toth has been limited a little bit this spring, so he's not been able to get guard reps. The biggest improvement most guys make is between year 1 and year 2, and so you're going to see a big jump in Connor Colby, and he has to make a big jump because when he stopped playing, it was not real good for him. So, but Connor has made a nice jump as far as you can tell right now. Sure. Rob Jones coming in. We've got obviously the draft pick. Willis, yeah, Carver Willis. I always call him Corbin. I always
two last names is tough.
It's weird, yeah. So Carver's there. Carver's done a nice job as well, and I don't want to leave anybody out in the group, but everybody's getting reps over there and working really hard to get the job and working to play that position, and we'll see how it goes. I really don't know, and but I feel real confident in the guys that are here. I do think that you guys have heard this discussion before on what I feel about drafting offensive linemen. Mm-hmm. And I think there is a line, wherever that line is. This year it happened to be where Enrique Cruz. He was, to me, I think he's a starter going forward at some point in the league. I think he's a starting talent. And he's sitting there in the 5th round. But I think he was it. He was like, for me, that was the guy. And then after that, now there may be other guys that start. Connor was a 7th round draft pick. That wasn't my projection for him to be a starting guard. Now, he exceeded our expectations when he first started playing, and he may still exceed our expectations. But the other guys that are there are guys that are totally capable of being starters at the position in our system and how we do things. Connor would be exceeding.
So as the replacing Matt Hennessy at backup center is Toth. I know he played both guard and center at Philly. Is that somebody that you're looking at for that?
And that would be the problem. If Toth did win the guard job, which I'd said he will be involved in it. If he's one of our best 5 players, it does create a little bit of it gets a little sticky because then your backup center's in the game. So then that means he's at risk of getting hurt. So then who's your back? So there has to be a 3rd center that you have to keep on ice because you don't want because then all of a sudden if all your centers are playing. One time I had all my centers were playing both guards and center in the game, and you're like, well, wait a minute, I'm losing it. If they could all go out, what's going to happen? Who's going to snap the ball? So, but that's the plan right now. Toth is challenging, and then he'll get to compete at guard. So that would be another layer of the problem, but right now that's not the problem.
He's the sideline. He'll tell you that, right. But then, he's able to flush it, move on to the next one, and leads us down on a scoring drive. So, I think that just accepting that and understanding that, hey, I'm not the only one making mistakes. The coaches make mistakes. MVPs make mistakes, and I think that's really important for guys to understand to be grounded and centered and accept mistakes and manage expectations. And I think that's the biggest thing. Don't put too many expectations on yourself. You want to strive for perfection, but what is perfection? It's acknowledging you're going to be imperfect.
Did he, not that that's an unusual thing for a professional athlete to struggle with, but did he come and was open about that? Is that something you recognized in him, or was it a little bit of both?
No, I think he came in here with maybe that mindset, but with any new player you get on a new team, you try and just treat him with a blank slate, and assess the new year, even with Brock, returning here, and Mac now returning here. It's like, I don't really care what happened last year. That was really fun and awesome, but this is 2026, not 2025, so, we have a short-term memory in terms of success and failures, and I'm going to try and build and focus on what we need to improve on this year, as opposed to focus on what happened last year. And I think that's important for any player, especially Mac and Brock, whether it's success or failure.
I think Matt called it getting the train back on the tracks last year as his kind of thing coming. Sam Darnold obviously had some success doing it. Seeing more quarterbacks, like how much do you feel like patience is kind of a lost virtue with young quarterbacks, and how important is it for you to kind of try to build them back up when you're doing your job? I mean, I said it is the job, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's this. Everybody wants quick success, right? And this position is really hard. It's really hard to play on a consistent basis, and be able to go through some of those challenges and errors throughout, whether it's starting 20 games, 25 games, 30 games. Some guys don't get to start 3, and everybody's in a circumstance, and being in a good situation with coaches and players on a team that is able to kind of go out there and provide you with some chances to go out there and have some failures, but also try and win games at the same time. That's obviously a luxury most quarterbacks don't get. So I do think there's a little timetable that's kind of misconstrued with this league, and that's unfortunate, but it is what it is. But at the same time, he was able to get the train on the tracks, and I think he was, again, he had success early too now.
Yeah.
And I think that back to the questions before, it's, how can I balance success with failure? I got to stay the same. I think that's one of Brock. You asked me what I learned from Brock. That was one thing I learned most from Brock. He's as consistent as can be. And I think that's one thing that people can lose sight of, in determining a good player or a bad player.
When you bring in a guy like Mac, who was drafted highly, and all the expectations that come with that, versus another guy who might be a backup, is there a different approach in terms of how you have to kind of rebuild them in some ways, or is it the same?
No, I mean, it's the same. Every player is different, though. I think that whether players had success or failures, whether you're coaching receivers, backs, you have to connect with every player differently than you do with. You're talking to the room because you're teaching certain concepts and all that kind of stuff, but when it comes to one-on-one coaching and how to get to know a player to play well or play inspired, you have to talk to them on an individual basis and what drives them, what motivates them. It might be the same, might be different, but every player is different, just like all my 3 kids are different. You know what I mean? My daughter's different than my oldest son, and they have to be disciplined or appreciated differently than each other. So I think that goes the same for the players.
I've talked to a few backup quarterbacks at other places, and they say that now they all want to come here, or they want to go to LA, or they want to go to Minnesota because they want to get in these systems where guys are kind of regenerating their careers. Do you feel that at all? Like, are you aware of other quarterbacks trying to oh man, if Mac gets traded, I want to go to San Francisco?
Well, I don't think it's just here and how we coach the quarterback. I think it's how we coach any position. I think the culture here that John and Kyle have really kind of instilled here. You guys have seen it for the past decade. It's a really awesome place that Jed and everybody has kind of built, and that's just people that we center ourselves around with. It's the coaches Kyle hires, the players we draft, all that stuff. There's no secret to that, and I think that Coach Kyle talks about that culture and that leadership. Guys like Christian, George, Brock, they feed off each other, and that's what makes this place so enticing. Even myself coming here as a veteran coach, being around here is awesome, and you can rebuild careers. I felt my career was that way, to some extent, and I found love for the game coaching football again here, and that's really kind of not because you win or lose games, but because the people that you're around, they can kind of show you that football is fun.
I'm sure the comfort level in the offense plays a huge factor in going out there, having confidence in what you're doing, and how to do it.
Leonard, what was that time like between the 32nd overall pick and the 33rd pick for you?
Well, for me, I want to say, obviously, the night had ended. So for me, we came in, and like always, our job as position coaches, as offensive staff, really, is done prior to that. We do the work leading up into the draft, and then it's our job to give, our information based off the guys we like, and so on and so on. And then up to that point, Cal and John and Clay Kubiak and Chris Foerster, they get together and they talk about the best guys and who they think we're going to take at the moment, depending on if that's offense and defense. And then we go from there. And then at the end of the day, once the pick is select, we welcome to the team and we go from there.
And so what was it? What did you feel like when that selection Dejan was made?
I was ecstatic. Dejan was one of my top 3 guys on my list. And just having him being at that moment, being able to select him, and knowing that this is a guy who can help us out this year. It was huge for us. And again, just the speed, the size, in the running game, he's an all-around player. And he's only going to get better, from his college film, and I can't wait to see it happen.
And so now that you've had him in the building, what are your impressions?
Same impression, same. Nothing has changed. He's been awesome. And again, every day of being here, he's going to take a step with his mentality, the way he works. With the way we coach receivers and the way we demand, the techniques and how to get open, the way we teach it. Right, it's second to none. So he's going to take that step, and again, I can't wait to see in the next, couple weeks, in a couple months, where he's at.
I know you guys want those guys to learn multiple positions, but where do you kind of envision him in the early part, and then maybe what's the long term?
You know what? Around this time of year, I never really focus on a position for guys, because really it's all about the foundation of the offense, learning the concepts. We probably format the offense to where we can get guys in different positions. So I really, as a position coach, receivers coach, I don't really see it as X receiver, F receiver, Z receiver, because of, we move guys around, not slot, not outside. You move guys around a ton, to get them in a position to be successful, so we're scribbling. Obviously, he's a big body guy. You can put him at the Z, the blocking, you can put him at the X because he has the speed. You can move him inside, the same as Jawan Jennings last year, so I see a lot out of him, a lot for him, and the more he can do, the better. It helps us out, it helps himself out, so I'm just excited, just to get him out there and with Ricky, and Mike and Christian, and DeMarcus Robinson, Jordan Watkins, Jake Howland, we got a great variety of guys, who can do a lot of things, and it's going to be good. Training camp.
This offseason, Kyle and John both used the term getting grown men in the room in terms of bringing in Mike Evans and Christian Kirk. As someone who was in that room last year, did you feel like there was an element lacking of veteran leadership? I know you had Jawan, but was that lacking at all in your mind?
I think the most important thing is you want guys with the experience. You want guys to be consistent. You know what I'm saying? And that's what it comes down to. Obviously, we got Mike, who has done it at an elite level for a long period of time. You got Christian Kirk, who has done it at an elite level, DeMarcus as well. And then when you got guys like Ricky, Jordan, Jake, you're scribbling, who's walking in there, who's expected to perform, you want those guys to learn, not only on the field, but off the field as well, from guys who does things the right way, so it's been good to have those guys in the room, and those guys have been great communicating with the young guys and letting them know the standard and letting them know as well, what it's going to take to be successful, so it's been an honor.
I'm sure you've admired Mike for a long time from afar. Yeah. What's it like seeing him up close and seeing, like you said, the interactions with the younger receivers?
No, it's been awesome, because obviously sometimes guys, has done it for an elite level for a long period of time. Sometimes they have, I know everything type of mindset, and that hasn't been at all. He's been very professional. He listens, takes in everything, takes coaching very respectful. From the time he got, signed here, he came on his visit, up until now, and just seeing that, and then he, from going from myself, to Coach Andrew, down from player A to player B. It's been awesome to see, because sometimes guys get in the shell and they don't want to help, but that hasn't been the case at all. He's been outstanding.
A lot of new faces in the receiver room. How quick are they picking up the new playbook? I know we're not too far into the offseason and OTAs yet, but how are they picking up the playbook?
It's coming along. It's not easy to pick it up quickly, but the guys have been doing a great job, putting in the extra work, doing whatever it takes to get ahead, and testament to those guys, because we meet a lot, when it comes to, just the fine details of the offense. And I pride myself on having the most detailed group on the field, so they've been working. I don't expect it to happen overnight, but it's going to come. That's why we have this time to set the foundation, and then we got training camp, and then hopefully by week 1, it's all set in stone.
Christian McCaffrey talked to us last week, and he described the running back room as competitive during OTAs. Can you describe or give any insight as to how the guys are pushing each other in that room?
Well, I'm glad he talked to you a week ago. I'm glad he used that word competitive, because that's what we're looking for, and that makes me better. Okay, when I'm better, I make my players better, because I'm a competitor, and I'm glad to hear that they want to compete, because that's what I want. Okay, I want them all competing. I want them all to be a fist, and et cetera, to help each other. But yeah, when their number is called, okay, then hey, it's my number is called, and I'm out there to quote to take over, and to keep that position.
Tell me about Kyle Juszczyk, and I see that he works with the running back room and he works a bit with the tight end room sometimes during the offseason. How does his knowledge both in the tight end room and in the running back room carry over to one another?
That's priceless because he's been in the running back room. He was splitting them up throughout it. He was more in the running back, but now he'll be probably more in the tight end room. But his knowledge is priceless. Okay, he's a complete player. He always has been. He's a quick and easy learner. Okay, and then I learn a great deal from him. Just like I do. I want to learn something from my players daily. I don't feel I know doggone well I don't know it all. So there's the rules, and I have a big saying of common sense will always override the rule. And he is huge on common sense. He's a complete ball player.
Now, I apologize if you've been asked this, but tell me about your relationship with K'Lon Black throughout the pre-draft process and how you guys made that connection and what he's like being here in the 49ers room.
Well, I make that connection with really all of the players. That's the reason I talk to them and contact them and call them, etc. The head coach, the coordinators, they'll give you their opinion on why he was selected and what they see and saw in him during and after the draft. Myself, from day one, he had and he still has, and I'm glad he has a chip on his shoulder. So I picked that up from the very first time that I talked with him. He has a lot to prove and wants to prove that he can play and that he should be for-day starter, that he should be on the field. Then competitors always want to be out there 100% of the time. But he has shown that, and he's very coachable. He has that eagerness. He wants to be good, and he wants to wherever that. He's obviously felt something or was told something, throughout his career. I have that chip on my shoulder, I have stuff to prove every day, and I try to always prove the doubting Thomases, wrong the doubters. Okay, that I still can coach, I still can do it, and that's his attitude. And I'm really happy about that. But every day he wants to learn, and he wants to get better, and he wants to improve.
That chip on that shoulder, the hunger that K'Lon has that you're describing, how often do you find that in first-year players?
I won't say it's rare. The good ones and the ones that end up being good and complete, they have it. They don't. A lot of times the players don't talk about it daily. But the good ones, the great ones, they have that. And then there's other ones like K'Lon. He'll tell you, which he told me constantly out here, daily. Hey coach, I want to be good. Coach me. In other words, he wants to be coach.
What are you hoping to see from him in training?
Just growth. Okay, so in other words, improve on not just starting with the run game. Okay, his reads, pre-snap reads, vision. I've always my whole career been huge with vision. Okay? I feel that's one thing in running backs is overlooked. But then vision, pre-snap reads, being able in the protections, to being able to pick up, their technique. I'm always looking to improve a person's technique, but the thing about courage, their toughness, they got to have that already. And I definitely feel he has that.